Vijf water ready to rock. Kijk, because after Louis then there's a proper group. Bloody hell, Henry's even sure. Okay, ready with you on then, Louis?
Alright, okay. Is it recording?
Yeah, man.
Cool. Hi, my name's Louis and this is my work experience presentation. Basically I'm going to go through where I've worked, what experience I've done and how I've done it, and give you a few tips about how to get work experience in the future. Also look at the positives and the negatives of getting work experience, because sometimes when you apply something you can't always get it. I'm going to start off. Use that then. I'm going to start with Aspire, and this is where it really began for me, because I learned how to use Myriad and the mixing desk, and I did that all by myself as well and with other people, and I learned how to operate in groups and create ideas and features which helped me build my confidence up. My confidence got built up to use this experience for the news day, and this is where we got in a group of 3 people and we took turns in presenting the news, producing and finding out news stories. And this was quite good because we learned how to script write and do it quickly as well, because the news is obviously changing all the time, and you need to be on top. And that was quite helpful. Using Adobe Audition as well, and that was a good thing to learn and help us create features for a show. And then, like I said, it gets your confidence up and it makes you feel good about yourself, like when you first get into it, because it can be a bit daunting. And from that, I decided to go off with 3 mates to Nerve Radio and start a show. It was called the Brunch Bunch, classic name. I learned how to produce and present our own shows without any help. So basically, we were just there on the desk like that, picture shows, just trying to figure out how to use the desk properly and get timings all right, and sort of build our confidence up again to really sound proper over the radio. Also, I got to know people higher up in Nerve as well, which was quite helpful. Guy Larson, who was the daytime head manager, but he's now moved on to because he's finished his course. Made friends with people there, and started joining some Nerve outside broadcasting events, which was quite helpful because I get to see how they broadcast from outside and bring it back to the studio. And also, I went to a couple of events with Nerve and participated with them. And one of them, which I find very important, is the SRA conference. And this is a very important thing, and I reckon you should go. You do have to pay for it. It's around about £130 this year. It's in Leicester as well, so I do recommend to go. You get to stay in a hotel as well, meals are paid for you, but it's really good because you get to meet students like yourself which are trying to do what they can in radio and try and get work experience, and then you also get to meet the professionals that work at Radio 1 and work at 1 Extra or at Heart and in the offices up there, and you just get to get a good feel of how people sort of interact with other people inside the industry, and it's just a really cool thing to be a part of. And I think it's definitely worthwhile. You should definitely go. And from that as well, me and a colleague of mine, Pete over there, we then went to BBC Radio 101 Extras Academy. Now, I found this quite good as well because once again we met professionals in the industry, which was quite helpful. And one of the presenters for one of the shows, as it were, was Gemma Carney, who's the breakfast presenter on the weekends at Radio 1. And once again we met students like us, we just had a nice chat, got some good feedback on how Radio 1 works, and I found that very important. And we did gain sound advice, which I think is key when you go to these lectures, because you learn so much more. And if you can show to someone who wants to, when you do work experience, if you can show someone that you can go out and do these lectures, shows that you're progressing in the industry and that you're trying to better yourself. But I just want to go back to Nerve quickly, go on to the second year. In the second year, in the first part, I had my own show for 2 weeks on the Fresher FM. It was on 87.7, And basically how I got that is one day the daytime manager, he just called me up a week before, annoyingly, but called me up a week before and said, do you want a show? And I said, okay, I'll do it, because that's something as well, I always say yes. So I decided to just go for it. At the start it was a bit daunting, because you're on FM, like the realisation is that someone who's driving around in Bournemouth, they could be listening to Fan Cotton on Radio 1, and then if they're just messing around with the dials, if they can't be bothered to listen anymore, they're going to flick over, and then 87.7, they're going to start listening to me. So there will be, people are listening to you, whereas before you would have to get people to go online, so it was a bit like, I have to be professional. So I made clocks, as it were, do it like time the show out perfectly. Got some features as well. This is the first time that I did an interview properly and went on there. And I also had a mate of mine who is also sat over there, so George Warrington, and this is this is a little bit of one of the interviews I did. YouTube was working. So yeah, I did this interview, it's about 30 seconds of it. And also we got a couple of
I'm here with Matthew, and he's telling us how we got to the acoustic there. Myself and my brother have been working in an acoustic duo for a while. He's been working the acoustic set by himself, and we decided to do the duo, so because he was in a covers band and I moved down to the area, so we started up the acoustic stuff. I did a lot of tribute work last year and a lot of solo work, and now we just play gigs around the local area, ranging from Bridport to that's where we lived, across to Bournemouth, to basically around the southwest really. So we kind of want to play a lot of covers, playing local pubs and clubs, and just seeing where we can go with it really.
So that was one of the features on our show. Also, my colleague of mine helped me out, and he had another one as well. And then we got, like I was saying before the clip started, we also got some freshers up, because we wanted to basically keep the show for the freshers, even though it was on FM. We wanted, because it was Freshers Arrival Week, we wanted to keep it to that audience. And I think we did quite well. One day we did get 20 viewers on the webcam, and at the time we couldn't figure out the FM listening figures, but it did work quite well. And the second part of the second year, the Brunch Bunch, we then became the Bunch. And this we came up with new features. Come Ride With Me, it's been very successful so far. The daytime manager Nerve likes it, and I also think the station manager is a recommended feature to listen to. There's one of them called Louis' Moments. It's basically me talking about what's going on in my life, because it's not interesting. But there's also Where's Warrington, which is another great feature. It's basically like Where's Warrington. So we turn into a drive time show now every Thursday, 3 PM to 5 PM. And we are also now sponsored as well. So we've moved up quite quickly in Urban. I guess we really showed that we are quite good in a way of what we do, and we do take it seriously. We do every show get people to come in for our features if they want to join in, and it has been a success. And one of the reasons why it's been such a big success is because of our social networking. This is our Twitter account. As you can see there, we are following over 1,000 people, but we've got 294 followers. So we have to anticipate that 294 people are going to listen to our show. That's what we like to think. So we try to keep it to our target audience, and we try to keep it in time. We try to keep the features good, and we try to get people in all the time. And it's good because it teaches you that you have to take it seriously, even if it is just a student station. And whereas we started at Aspire before, maybe we didn't take that so seriously, and then when it came over into Nerve, we just went, right, we got to really nail this, and we got to be as good as we can be. And I think that's what we did, and it built my confidence up, and from there, I managed to get some work experience at Fire Radio. And this is a really interesting story, because what happened, I just went for a tour around Bournemouth University, and then one of the guys, she took me and my parents to the radio studios because I said I was interested in radio, and then she said, well, I've got a mate that DJs on Fire Radio on a Tuesday night. Do you want to be on Facebook? And I said, oh yeah, brilliant. So I added him on Facebook, and then I started talking to him consistently, saying, can I come on your show? Can I come on your show? Not too much though, just once every week or twice every week, saying, when can I come on? Is it okay to come on? And then asking questions like, how are you? Oh, it'd be great to come along and make a cup of tea or something like that. And eventually he turned around to me and said, okay, yeah, come along. So I just turned up, and all I was doing was sitting down, just watching him create radio, because it was a specialist show. He did dance. It was like a dance music, with house and tech. He wasn't using the Miro system. He was using CDJs and Ableton Live, which he then showed me how to use myself. I then brought my laptop in. He showed me how to use another programming software, which was quite good, because then I managed to learn a lot more. And this meant I started becoming involved with the show, because a couple of times I made a few mixes or bootlegs. They weren't brilliant, but because I made them, he was like, I'll play them out on air. My name got mentioned across Fire Radio, and he gets about 2,000 listeners every show, and Fire Radio get 40,000 listeners a week. So quite a lot of people would have heard my name out there. And then from the mixes, he randomly said to me one day, do you want to be part of a feature? I was brilliant, I'll be part of a feature. And then I basically did the dance news for global and locally. And that was a little bit daunting, because there were so many people listening to me, and the first time I was on there, it was the first time I was properly speaking to people, and I was very much like I couldn't talk properly, but once I got into the flow of it, it was alright. But I learned how to research thoroughly. So I would come up with, for the week show, I would come up with 50 stories, show him about 20, so move away from the 30 that I don't think are that useful, go to 20, and then me and him will pick out 10 stories and have a story for each minute. And it was very precise. It was good as well. It worked. I only did it a couple of times, but the cool thing is I'm more than welcome to go back to Fire Radio, and I have been there for a long time, on the Tuesday night, and I met Niall Maloney, the specialist manager, and then they're all nice people, and I'm still in contact with these people. And from this experience, I then moved on to trying to get working into TalkSport. Basically, I've got this email address, and I tried the same method, just kept on saying, right, I want to come along and do work experience. So I thought this would be brilliant, because it's a big commercial station. And then it got planned when it was going to happen, so the date, where I was going to stay up there, who was going to look after me. And then literally at the last minute, it was the last week, and I was gutted, and it just fell through, and I was really devastated, because I really wanted to go up there. It would have just been for a week, and I still haven't heard back from anyone. But one of the reason why I showed you this, obviously I haven't been successful here, but you got to sort of pick yourself back up again. You can't just think, that hasn't worked out, I'm just going to carry on with Nerve, or just carry on with Aspire. You got to think, right, let's go off into another direction. I went off in a completely other direction, thanks to a lecture that we had from Ellie McDowell, and it was about CSV. Well, not the lecture that she gave, but she told us to go and join this company called CSV, called Community Support Volunteer, that work with the BBC, and for the South they work at Radio Solent. And I emailed this woman called Diane Potchin, and she emailed me back, which was nice, and she just told me to come up there. And the moment I went up there, it's brilliant, because you get to walk through, you get to go inside Radio Solent, you get to walk past all the DJs that are there, and you get to go into the newsroom, and it's like you can actually see BBC radio people at work, and it's a good environment to be in. And when I went up there, I got that's my visitor pass, which I thought take a picture of, because you're being part of the BBC. And what I actually do though is I take with 4 other people. I take part in the listening project, the BBC Radio 4. Basically, we go and find stories. I don't know if you've heard of the listening project. Has anyone heard of the listening project? Radio 4?
Yeah, vaguely.
All right. It's good. Listen to it. But basically, what happens is it's a 3-minute conversation between 2 people on an interesting topic. And what we do, we find these interesting topics for the South, come up with ideas, but the other things we do is we work on projects called The Professionals and Stripping It Bare. Both are not radio related, it's just trying to get the word out to the community, like Stripping It Bare, to get the word out to the community, to people over the age of 50, about getting health screenings and just worrying about their health and like being more involved. And The Professionals is about getting what they call health champions to teach other people to sort of skills that they've learned, and it's sort of getting people back into work, and all those things help the community. And even if it's not radio related, it's always good just to do something else. And I've also got a BBC email address now, so I can use that for my business, which is pretty cool. And in the future, I've applied for BBC Six Music. Hopefully I will get it. I'm in contact with the local Heart Radio at the moment, with a guy called Matt Jarvis over Twitter, social networking again. And I've also creating some documentaries for the Listening Project. The tips I'll give you: don't give up. If you fail, just keep trying. Always say yes, because the moment you start saying no, you're going to have a negative image of yourself. People don't like that. Always do more than expected. That's what I found. When I was a fire and I had to find these stories to read out on air, I was finding 50 stories where I really only could have found 5 and done minimal work. But you always do more than expected, because it just makes you look better. It makes yourself feel better as well, because then you've got more to work on. And smile, doesn't hurt. Sport good. It doesn't. Thank you for listening to my presentation. Any questions?
Dylan's got a question.
What goals do you have for the future?
Goals have a future. I hope to get at a higher commercial station, so go work. So if I could get up to TalkSport, get up there, or go to Absolute, or go work at Radio 1, do something like that, because it's that would just be really important. Because what I'm doing right now is pretty cool, but I just like to do something a bit higher up, I suppose. So just eventually get to that area.
Nick?
Do you think that social working is the main way forward for regards to making contacts?
Yes, definitely.
So that'd be Twitter or...
Yeah, I use Twitter, Tumblr. So if you've got a Tumblr page, if you do any blogging, get that out there. Put your blog on your Twitter, put it on your Facebook. Use all the social networking sites you can. I would.
Lovely, thank you very much, Lee.